What's up, guys? We are back with another Super 7 Ultimates Transformers Wave 2 review, and we're taking a look at the other Decepticon. In this wave, we're taking a look, of course, at the big bad. We're taking a look at Megatron. So this is our classic Megatron figure. Of course, I'm excited for this guy. I'm really happy to get him. We got Optimus in Wave 1, so of course it makes sense we get Megatron in Wave 2. He comes in our standard style packaging for the line, and again, just like with the rest of these figures, I really like the motif for these. I really like this sort of foil relief imagery that we've got here with that vintage grid design. So you got Megatron on the front, you got the Transformers Decepticon logo on the back. Pop that slip cover off, and of course you've got your figure there in the big window. We've got that purple color scheme. We saw this, of course, with the Bludgeon figure, but being Megatron, we do get the grid, whereas Bludgeon is a pretender. This goes back to more specifically G1 stuff. So you got the grid patterning on the package here, and then the back of the box gives you that sort of file card, power ranking, and a little bit of artwork for Megatron as well. But yeah, I'm excited for this guy. There's a whole bunch of stuff in this box. I'm really curious to check it out. So let's do it. Let's pull him out and take a look. And here we go, out of the package, our Ultimates Megatron. So of course we got Optimus in Wave 1. We needed Megatron sooner rather than later, and I've been really looking forward to this guy just to have that pairing between the two of them, kind of see how they stack up, and have that cartoon representation of the two. And there's a lot about this figure that I do like in a general sense, like the overall package that we get here I think is pretty solid, but there is definitely some hang-ups with this figure, specifically when it comes to articulation, in ways that I did not expect. You know, Optimus had some problems to begin with, specifically those elbows were one of the big call-outs. Megatron is very much problematic in a different way. So let's see what this guy can do, see how he moves around. So we've got a head that can look up a little bit, can't really look down, which I'm not surprised about. Tilt side to side, you've got rotation. Arms are able to go out, thankfully, so that's nice. They do swivel. You've got single jointed elbows. They're not 90 degrees, but they're close-ish. They do not swivel, though, so there is no normal swivel there. You do have swivel at the peg, so the forearm can swivels. And then you've got hinge and rotation at the wrist. Pretty normal there. We've got a waist twist. He does have a crunch, which works, I mean, surprisingly well. That's not perfect, but it's not bad either. That's pretty good, especially when he has an opening chest, which I was kind of surprised to see this. Isn't this like one specific thing from the show? It's like that antimatter episode, and he like has it in his chest or whatever. Maybe I'm misremembering. I think that's what it's from. But you've got the pop-down chest. Where he truly suffers is literally everything below the waist. So his legs go out this far. None of this, you know, robo diaper here. None of it gives. None of it moves. So that's all you can do. This is all you can do with those legs. They do not kick forward. That's as far as they go. So that's a problem. There's also no thigh twist or no usable thigh twist because of the fact that there is no clearance between this pad and the actual crotch. Knees are still pretty good. They're not 90, but they're pretty close. There is no swivel there either due to how these knees are constructed. And then your hinges for your feet and your ankles, they go down, but there is no up. So this is really not useful. There's no point in that, honestly. And then there would be rocker here, but due to the fact that he's encapsulated by the boots, it doesn't go anywhere. So yeah, he really is going to have some trouble being any type of dynamic pose. Like there's really going to be a lot of trouble getting him into anything that isn't just sort of a standard vanilla pose. It's going to take some work. Where he sort of is better than Optimus, you know, being the elbows, the arms in general, somewhat of the torso, all of that is basically negated by the legs. So I'm really not happy by how little he can move down there, because I'm struggling to know what I want to do with him outside of just making him stand, well, like that. Now, on the flip side to that, I do think there is a lot that's good with the visuals, but there's also some hiccups with this one too, in ways that I don't really understand, because some of this stuff just, you know, for lack of a better word, some of it just looks kind of rough. In general, this is a really solid cartoon Megatron, though. I think the colors look good, proportions are good. You know, he's got those scrawny thighs and the massive, massive shins. That kind of stuff instantly takes me back. You know, that looks like cartoon Megatron. Some of the paint is okay, so like the, you know, control panel doodads on his stomach, they look good. The Decepticon logo is really clean, really crisp. As unnecessary as I find this, I do really like it. Something about a hologrammy kind of sticker under there does it for me. So that's kind of a goofy thing, but it's kind of cool at the same time. Maybe not something that I absolutely will mess with a lot, but it's kind of fun. In general, I think the sizing, the sculpt, all is pretty good. I mean, it's overly boxy, which is of course very, very Transformers cartoon. He's got the, the cannon on the back. There's, little greebling details back here, things like that. The paint on the arms is okay, because you've got some paint here around that joint. It's okay, nothing crazy. And then the paint on the sides of the stomach, it's just red, but it looks good. It's where it needs to be. It's what it needs to be. But there's a few little things about this guy that seem kind of odd. For starters, I am almost positive his legs are not the same length. They definitely seem to be wonky. That's the only word I'm going to use to describe them. He does not stand perfectly flat, and there is just no way to make him. It's fine, like you can make it work, but if you get really close, one knee is higher up than the other for no discernible reason, so that's really weird. And then you've also got whatever in the hell is going on with this. What is this box on the inside of this arm? This whole joint is really nasty looking. It's very rough. It looks very unfinished. I'm not a toy maker. I'm not an engineer. So far be it from me to actually offer criticism on what could be changed here, because I have no idea. But I do know that that does not look good. It doesn't look clean either. Like, it's a very rough cut. It's really odd. The same thing goes for the chest plate also. Like the little doodads that are up there, whatever you want to call them, they look different on the vintage toy. They're really rough cuts, and all of this panel is really rough as well. Like, it came out of the box super dinged up and messy, really. Like, there's paint scrape on the top corners and down here along the sides for, just seemingly no reason. I don't know how that would have happened. And then I've also got some red paint on the shoulder and this arm, which I assume came from the elbows and the waist. I can scrape that off and it'll be fine, but it shouldn't be there in the first place. So there's a lot of stuff about this figure that just seems really, really rough in comparison to some of the other Transformers. I do think he still looks really good. Like, there's a lot about this figure that absolutely just exudes cartoon Megatron. A lot of that is going to be the sizing, the color, the proportions, and then this head sculpt. Head sculpt is really good. It doesn't have any of the quote-unquote roughness that I'm seeing elsewhere. Eyes look good. He's got kind of a furrowed brow going on. Everything's very angled and evil looking. So I'm happy with the head sculpt, and it does sort of tie him together a little bit. But there is undeniably something just slightly rough around the edges when it comes to this figure in general. Now for some size comparisons, let's start with another Transformers Ultimate. So we've got Optimus here on the right, and for another, 7-inch scale figure, because that's how these are typically billed, we've got a Mythic Legions figure here on the left. That's our Shadow Orc Grunt. So you can see that he and Optimus are pretty comparable, and then of course he's going to tower over most normal 7-inch and or 6-inch figures. Let's pull Optimus aside. Let's do a Marvel Legends figure. Here is the new Bishop. Let's do a Figuarts. So here is Superhero Piccolo. Let's do a Masterverse figure. Here is the new Eternia He-Man. And then just because, one more, because I've got him handy, here's a Plunderling for a very small comparison. So, Megatron is going to be comparable to the Transformers. They do scale a little bit higher than most Ultimates, but they have that size to make them seem, of course, larger than your average humanoid type character. But they're going to fit in pretty well with most Ultimates and then stuff that's sort of 7-inch scale. Now, as far as accessories goes, Megatron does have a pretty solid spread. I do think in some ways this kind of saves the figure for me. There are some, we'll say, oddities about accessories, though, that I cannot quite understand. Maybe mistakes. We'll see. So to start with, he does get 2 extra head sculpts. These are some of those, kind of esoteric, specific kind of head sculpts that you may not actually need. So you got like a standard one in the box. We get the Mind Control helmet head sculpt. So this is him kind of like maniacally laughing with the helmet on. This actually does look really, really good. I'm very happy with this one overall. I just feel it has limited use. And then we've got what they've described as the Power Hungry head sculpt. I'm not as big of a fan of this. I feel like the head is too narrow, and the expression is also really wonky. He's got like, energon oozing out of his mouth. It's kind of cool, but I'm not so sure I really care for it. He does get some extra hands, and not as many as I feel like he should, especially compared to some other figures in this line. So to start with, he has fists on him in the box. We get a set of grasping, style posey, open palm style hands, so you get 2 of those. And then you get 2 trigger finger hands. But he has stuff that aren't guns to hold, so that kind of annoys me. That's a pet peeve of mine for sure. If he has something that's not a gun, he should have a regular gripping hand, and he doesn't. He's also got some other stuff, so we've got the big cannon that will attach to his arm, so this just pegs onto his forearm. This looks really good, happy with it. I'll probably utilize this all the time, so that's, you know, that's kind of like a mainstay for Megatron. He's also got this extra hand with the Energon cube. And I was really excited about this one until I saw how he was holding it. So this is a left hand, and it's being held like this. So that, like, you can hold it out like that and it looks normal. But if he's actually like holding it in any correct way, the Energon will not be posed normally. Like, he can't be holding it, you know, where he's offering it to someone like this, because then it's not oriented correctly and it doesn't move in there. It's part of it. I feel like it's put in wrong, and either mine's wrong or it's just done incorrectly. I'm pretty sure the solicitation images show it this way as well, and it's left me kind of scratching my head as to why. He also, you know, doesn't have a lot of clearance for moving that hand around, so it is kind of weird. I'm not too happy about that. I like the accessory, you know, idea, but I feel like it's not executed all that great. We get some weapons. He's got a gun, which I really like this gun and the sword that goes with it. So here's the sword. This is what I wish he had a regular gripping hand for. It goes fine in the trigger finger hands. It's just an annoyance of mine. I don't remember if this was an Energon sword or just a laser sword, but whatever it is, it's cool. I really like that. We get, and I don't remember exactly what this is. I think I do. This is the Pearl of Baodoon or something like that. It's like a weather machine. This is one of those really, really esoteric things. I don't even begin to know what I'm going to do with that. He includes this chemical flask as well, and I don't remember what this is from, so someone let me know. But the chemical inside of it is not secured, so like it's not oriented correctly. It'll spin around if you shake it hard enough. See, there it is. There it goes. That's not really a concern. I don't really think I'm ever going to use this, but there you go. Probably my favorite accessory here. He's got a Kremzik, so one of those little electrical guys. He's pretty cool. You know, you can get him to stand on his shoulder or something like that. So that's really neat. I love little buddies, so I'm happy with that. He looks good. And then, you know, maybe the legitimate best accessories that he has, and not just something that I like because it's weird, he includes 2 Energon maces. And these are, of course, replacements for the hands, so they peg into the wrist. And this one in particular, I think this is absolutely fantastic. The color looks great. Just the clarity of this plastic is really nice. Sizing is really well done, and I've always loved the idea of the Energon axe and Energon mace for Optimus and Megatron, so to get these is really cool. So this one has a, you know, actual plastic chain, and then you've got a more pre-posed one to if you want to do something where he's like, you know, slashing it or having it actually in the air. It is a little on the heavy side, so you'll have to figure out how to balance it, but these are really nice to see. I'm glad they decided to give us both versions. So there is a lot of stuff here that I actually really like. Some of it is really specific and it may be more difficult to utilize, but I really like the majority of these accessories. If there's one thing that I'm really annoyed by, it's this, because he should be able to hold this thing like this, you know, in this way, and not have the Energon be like on the side. That's odd. I just don't understand it. Either it was put on incorrectly or it was, you know, done wrong, whatever it is. Either way, a lot of good stuff here, but there's also some quirks at the same time. So yeah, overall, this is a decent figure, but that's about as far as I'll go with it. There's a lot of issues with him at the same time. Obviously, there are some serious articulation concerns. You know, it's not like it was an accident. They didn't accidentally make him not be able to move his legs. I feel like they stuck to having that diaper look as screen accurate as possible, and as a result, it has absolutely hindered his ability to move well. So it's one of those things. Does it look good or does it move good? And it looks good, but it doesn't move good. It also still has some problems in the looks department. I feel like the paint isn't all that great. I've got some slop, and in general, that chest plate is really dinged up on mine for no real reason. Can't figure out why. And I also still think his legs are not level. The accessories, I do think, absolutely elevate this figure and help save him. There are some quirks, though. They're not all perfect, but I think overwhelmingly the accessories are definitely a high point for this figure. So that's going to do it for this look at the Super 7 Ultimates Transformers Wave 2 Megatron. Let me know what you guys think. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and share, and until next time.